What is up? I'm Miguel Antonio, and you are listening to the Live and Create podcast. It's where I interview artists and entrepreneurs about what it means to live a great life and create great things. And before we jump into the podcast, I'd love for you to check out my band, Run With It. Here's a clip from our song, I Need a Light.
It was the middle of the night. My only friend was the highway. I just started to drive. No direction, only miles spent. I was losing my mind. Nothing more than tears and shaking. Where the moon was so bright, we usually spin and spin. I see my darkest days, see my darkest days. I see my darkest days, see my darkest days. I need a light, so bright and the sun seems dim. I need something that will not fade, held tight like the hand of a friend. I need someone that won't run away.
If you like what you heard, make sure you check us out at Run With It Band, at Run With It Band, everywhere you follow people at, or go to runwithitband.net. It'll take you to all the different links you want to go to, and there'll be a little button you can click for booking information. Now for today's podcast.
And then we did have technical difficulties today, but here we are. We pushed
figured it
through
out.
and we figured it out and made it happen, man.
We persevered, man. We're problem solvers. That's what musicians and producers are.
That's
we're
true.
Problem solvers.
It's so true. I was telling our drummer, we were working on drums this week, just trying to dial things in for our mix. And I was telling him, I was like, dude, I tried to do like mixing courses and all that kind of stuff, but I just never felt like I got a little bit out of it, but I was like, I get the most when I just sit at a DAW and I'm like, okay, today we're mixing drums. And then within 5 minutes, I'm like, I needed to do this and I don't know how to do that. So I need to go figure out how to solve that problem.
Yeah.
And it's like, by the end of the day, I've learned 10 new things.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
And I'm like, that process for me personally feels so much better than when I've tried to do like courses and those things. Not to say they're not helpful by any means.
No,
like,
I mean, there's obviously there's something to just practice, like actually doing something, applying.
Yeah.
There's the learning side, the theory side, the mind side, and then there's the doing.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and so for you, you're fully self-taught. Is that correct?
Yeah.
In there?
Yeah.
What did that look like to get started into like teaching yourself production? Because there's a lot of people I'm meeting who are in that same process right now.
I think the first step is having a genuine like passion or interest in it, because for me it started out as just loving music and loving hip hop, specifically like hip hop culture, listening to, like, you wouldn't find me without my Discman. That ages me, right? My Discman.
Dude, I remember Discman.
Yeah. So
big old thing. You had a clip and you felt cool as shit. You're like, I'm walking around with music now.
Yep. So I always had a CD on me and a CD player, and I was just always, at every moment, I was listening to music. And so it was just like a genuine love for the music itself, and then that curiosity of like, what if I could do this? Like, what if I could make this, right? And just like seeing things and being like in awe and being like, oh, that looks so cool, I want to do that, right? And that, I think that curiosity and passion was the first step into like, let me buy my first pair of turntables, or like, you have a little keyboard, you're like, let me mess around with this type of thing. Yeah.
What kind of noises can I make?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it starts, I think, with like experimentation and just like messing around. And then after that, it's the dedication determines whether or not you proceed.
Right.
Like if it's not for you, you're just like, tried it, wasn't for me, move on.
Yeah, because you can do almost anything for like 6 weeks or 6 months even. It's just like when you really push through, when shit gets really hard.
Or just like, even
are
the
you
first
going to
day,
be dedicated?
Sometimes I know, like sometimes the first day, if something's not for you, you're just like,
I mean, that's true. You're like,
thought about it, a little in over
it's like
my head,
sushi
maybe.
for me. Like the first day
really?
I tried, I went to the best place. They took me to like the best place we have in Kansas City, laid out all the different kinds. And I was like, at the end of it, I was like, I'll take the pork tenderloin. I just knew, like,
That's
people
funny.
still try to get me to do it. I'm like, nah, bro.
It's just not for, yeah, not everything is for everyone, you know? So I think that was the first step was, you know, me starting out actually investing in myself. The first thing I started was I bought turntables with my first job, and then started buying records and really getting into scratching, turntablism.
Nice.
And so I was learning how to DJ and scratch, and then making mixtapes, and then that evolved into sampling and making sampled hip hop beats. And then, you know, obviously everybody has that PC in their household, you know, like that computer when you first get the internet type of thing.
Right.
Like,
was
so
it
we had
dial-up?
dial-up. Yep. We had dial-up. And I was like, and so I had, you know, my first DAW. I was downloading music too. I was, you know, ripping MP3s and like ripping CDs and stuff like that, sampling that way, and started to make beats that way. So that was like my first start, I guess, in production.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like really taking it seriously as like a profession, or trying to take it to a level of, you know, professional, making something that you could make money off of, that didn't come around till years later. And yeah, it just took years of doing it to where you feel that confidence of like, yo, this sounds good, you know?
Right. As opposed to like so many times when I'll like review a mix, I'm like, that's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I got to come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Keep trying.
No, and it's like, it was the moment I took it from hobby to profession, at least on the DJ side, that was when I felt like I was like, okay, I'm making money off a music related field. So it eliminated that fear and the doubt of, hey, you know, your passion is one thing, and then there's practicality of like, just get a job.
Right.
So I was like, no, I could really put time and effort into something that I'm very passionate about and actually make a life, you know, a career, and support a living from it. That was like the turning point for me to really put time and effort into music. The production
like
side,
saw that work come to fruition.
Yeah.
Like,
and then
was there a particular event that you DJ'd that it was like a click, or was it just looking back at the cumulative like progress?
No, I mean, when I first got my first DJ residency, it didn't pay crap. Like, it was like I was getting
like
paid
bar
like
gigs for bands.
It was, yeah, I was getting paid hourly wages. This was back in 2007. I was getting paid like $8 an hour. So like minimum wage, basically. Right.
Yeah.
So I would DJ a whole DJ set and get paid $45 at the end of it, like in a paycheck with taxes taken out.
You're like, can I get some overtime, guys? Like, we need to get some shit going.
So that was the start. So that wasn't really like a big turning point for me. The turning point became once that started to actually like turn into like good money. Like when I started to get better gigs, better pay, and then I was making more money doing that than I was from my other, like my part-time job. Right. And so when I was able to transition from working an hourly job to just DJing full-time, that was when I was like, okay, music can be a full-time thing.
Nice.
But I was equally passionate about the creation side of music as I was the performance side or the DJ side. That came along in 2012 when I decided to move to LA. So I moved to the West Coast for a little bit, and that's when I really started to try to make a name for myself as a producer outside of just being a DJ.
Yeah. Was it just the environment, the community that you were in, where they all kind of like firing in this music world that bolstered that up?
I mean, I'm from Iowa, so like there's not really much of a music market out here. Like, so music, like trying to like create, produce, and there's not much outlets, you know, like the radio stations here are only pop, like for the most part, pop top 40 radio stations that you need a record label backing you to even get your foot through the door. So like, as far as like local music scene, there is an indie scene, but it's more like EDM, like festival circuit type scene, like the dubstep type stuff, which is stuff that I wasn't really into. But I did try to get my foot in the door through EDM, but it was more through the trap, hip hop influenced scene, because like my roots come from hip hop and R&B. So I was like, okay, well, let me try to get my foot in the door through EDM remixes so I could play those in my DJ sets.
Right.
So I was producing remixes, and then that's the LA move was so that I could do the networking and have an outlet for those remixes. So I was making a lot of connections like with the DJ community, like the national circuit.
That's awesome.
Because when I was living in Iowa, I was mostly playing in like the local area, like regional. So Iowa, Chicago, and at most maybe like Wisconsin. But when I moved to LA, then I started DJing nationally. So that's when I was like hitting New York, Miami, and like the Texas, like major markets.
Was it simply just different agents that you were meeting?
No,
as
I
far
was
as that got you into that bigger thing?
No, it was all self-booked, but it was honestly all through this through the DJ community, networking through the DJ community, making a name for myself through the DJ community. So my remixes,
that particular community was plugged into that level.
Yeah. So like
that's huge, man.
Yeah.
That's a huge lesson right there.
Yeah. So
sorry to stop you, but I'm
no, you're good.
Because those are things we're wrestling with as we're finally getting back out. We got a show out by Seattle, coming up it's a fly date that we're doing. We thought we were going to tour, but the tour kind of fell apart. So we're just flying out there playing. But I keep thinking, I'm like, I don't want to just play here. And
right.
Like we've toured all over. I want to get back to it. And so that's cool to hear you plugged into a community that was doing these bigger things.
At the time, traveling DJs was like a viable thing. Like, right. Like, so venues were actually bringing in guest DJs, and they had the budget for it. Also, gig swapping was a thing back then, which is not so much a thing anymore because the venues just don't have the budget for travel costs.
Right.
But when they did, when DJing was such like a appealing thing, like an in-demand thing, they were flying in DJs. So like you were able to gig swap. So like if I had a residency in a market that another DJ wanted to get into, I could bring him in as a guest DJ and he could play at my spot. And then I would essentially go play at his spot and it would open me up to a new market. So it was like trading gigs or even like.
The band world has a lot of that going on too.
Yeah. So, or even like, let's say you just have a residency, a weekly, right? And you need to go play it out at a different market because you just got booked, but you can't just leave that residency with no DJ. So you're able to now reach out to someone and book them in your place. And then they now look to you as a guy that you're the plug for that gig, right? Because you just did them a favor. So now they'll look out for you when they need to go elsewhere. So it's like kind of like a community that like looks out for each other. So this was like
really cool.
Yeah. So this was during that gig swap era. And because I was networking with the right DJs that had the gigs, and because my remixes were on their radar, because when I moved to LA, I made connections with like the outlets for DJ remixes. So I was able to get my DJ remixes played on radio. I was able to get them in record pools and stuff like that. So DJs were playing my remixes, and even the ones that weren't meeting me, like that had never met me before, probably didn't even know what I looked like. They had in their sets like a song where the remix had my name in it. So at least my name was familiar.
So the moment they finally did meet you, they're like, oh yeah,
you're the guy that did that.
Yeah.
So that was my way of creating a name for myself within the community to be able to network and then have those relationships. And then that was kind of like how I was starting to make a name for myself, like getting my foot in the door with production through remixing. On the original side, like making my own original music, that was more just like a passion thing, but it never really like was like, I wasn't doing any numbers like that. Like remixes were going crazy. Like I said, radio play, viral, like that type of thing. But like my originals, weren't doing much numbers. So like for me,
I feel you, it's like in our world, like I'm full-time music, but I still make most of my money in the cover world.
Right.
And it's like our originals are that passion piece we're trying to bolster up eventually. To like, that's what we're working towards. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's similar worlds in that regard.
No. And then, so like the original music I was making at the time, this was like post LA. So like, like 2014, the music I was making at the time was, predominantly like hip hop, R&B, like mainstream club friendly or like mainstream sounding current modern, hip hop and R&B and pop. And I was doing that because that was like to me at the time, that was like the easiest thing to make. And I was like thinking, I need to get my foot in the door. So I need to create things that I think other people will want to hear. And so that was my mindset at the time. And I was using my DJ brain of knowing what works. Like, because every weekend I have like live field experience of seeing reaction in real time to some music that I play. So I can see what works and what doesn't work. Everything down to melody, drums, the sonics, the sound quality and everything, like the kicks. Like
it's
everything.
fun testing things out with crowds. That's like, I had a gig last night where I snuck in some of our new originals we haven't released yet. And I was like, okay, this one's hitting more than I thought. You know, and you see what they latch on. Are they singing that part? Are they dancing? Are they, you know, and it's very informative.
Yeah. So I was using that side of my DJ brain, but then the problem was then I was more focused on the external validation or reaction to the music. Like the marketability, the reception of the music, of what will they like? What can I make that will be received well, right? Rather than what do I want to make, right? Like, so I guess the turning point for that was the pandemic. 2020 came around and I lost my DJ gigs. Like because everything shut down. So
the music world ended at that point. The live music world.
Yeah. So I lost the ability to not only perform or DJ, which was my main source of income, but I lost the ability to kind of like express that side of music. So then I was more thinking internally. So then that's when I started like go back and cause like when I was DJing, I was only listening to music that I felt like I could play while DJing.
Yeah.
I was like, will this work in the clubs? Is this like, that was like, it was like studying or homework to me. Like, the music, I only had limited time in the day. So the music I listened to had to have a purpose of, will this, you know, I had to stay current on what
you're not
what
throwing some Bon Iver on or something.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
You're
So
like, no one's dancing that shit. I can't.
I completely lost touch with my roots in music of things that I listened to on my own.
Right.
And so when pandemic happened and I lost that connection to that, now it was more, well, what do I want to listen to? So I started going back and listening to like, you know, soul classics, you know, funk, R&B, the things that I grew up not only like listening to, but the things that influenced me, like through hip hop, even like the samples, the breaks, you know, the things that hip hop songs that I loved would sample. I was going and listening to those records and like really digging again. And like,
going to the source.
Yeah. That was why I loved DJing. Cause it was like just this journey through music. And, I think that was when the turning point happened, because I was like, I want to make this. I want to create this. I don't want to make the easy like trap beat that takes me an hour from start to finish to make and feels kind of microwave, you know, insert whatever famous rapper at the time type beat. I don't want to do that.
I remember I was talking about that with the one our episode with Chakra. It's like the, you know, NBA Youngboy type beat, Travis Scott type beat.
It was not fulfilling to my soul. So I was like, I want to make these things that like when I really slow down and stop thinking about what I need to do as far as like my profession, what I need to do as far as like income or making money or making fans happy, that type of thing. What do I want? What do I want to make? What really do I enjoy musically? And it was like, if these are the things I'm listening to with no sort of like business mind attached to it or marketability or whatever, this is what I'm listening to. Clearly, this is the stuff that resonates with me most. So I want to make this.
Right.
But the limiting factor was all that stuff required real musicians, right? Like,
you're not doing that in the box necessarily at that point.
So the limiting factor was, I can only make this if I learn how to make it the way that it was made. I have to learn how to play these instruments.
Hell yeah.
So in 2020, I had nothing but time because everything was shut down. So I literally every day from like morning to night, like was practicing guitar, bass, drums.
Really? So keys. Like you had not played before?
That I played guitar for like a few weeks, like for like guitar lessons for like a few weeks, and then I quit.
So you started like almost ground zero or like ground point
so
001.
All I knew in guitar was the open chords, right? The C, you know, C, A minor.
Yeah, that's the first week of guitar lessons.
Yeah, F, That's all I knew. And I knew Star Spangled Banner because that's what my teacher taught me in guitar lessons. He didn't teach me the notes. He didn't teach me like any. He was just like, here, we're going to teach you a song. And he taught me how to play it.
So you use COVID as like a full woodshed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nonstop.
I bought like an electronic drum pad so that I wouldn't like get the cops called on me because, you know, living in an apartment. So I got in like a e-drum kit, full drum kit. I got a bass guitar, like a Squire, like one of like the cheaper ones. And then
yes, I got like a little cheapy Ibanez that I'll be using for some of my solo stuff, like right in the corner there.
And then I already had a 61 key keyboard, which was like, you know, good enough to practice piano. So like literally I signed up for like online courses, like YouTube tutorials and like Udemy courses and stuff like that. And it was just every day. Like I think I practiced, like I'd focus on like maybe like drums for like a certain amount of time. So like maybe I was doing like 8 to 10 hours a day on that instrument.
It's amazing, dude.
And
how long was that where you felt proficient enough at those instruments?
I was getting to intermediate level within that first year, I would say.
Nice.
Like in terms of being able to play like the chords I wanted to play, or like being able to play the rhythms I wanted to play, or like just like a simple chord progression or simple bass line, like enough to be able to like record something, but I still wasn't able to improvise or do the things like jam out or do the things that like I had in my head. I wasn't able to do that yet. That took some time, and that also required me to take music theory courses. So I was doing that at the same time that I was learning all that. I was taking
You
college
put yourself
level.
through a 5-year school in one year.
I was taking college level music theory courses online, which also, by the way, that helped me learn all the instruments, because then I was just like, all these instruments are just making sound. And if I know the language, I just have to figure out how this particular instrument speaks that language. But like,
it unlocks it to like see how it all fits.
So that sped up the process of me learning, but it took like, I would say a couple years of me just like practicing. Like basically I didn't create any new music for a couple years.
Yeah.
No create.
Just like, like build these new skills.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was like refusing to create anything because I was just like, I can't make the stuff I want to make. I'm not going to make it until I can do it.
Right.
And so
that's interesting you bring that up too, because I've been thinking about that. Because like for me, I love like writing every day, and it's I want to create. But it was last November when I was like, I really need to learn production. I've been dabbling with it for a while, but it's kind of like what you did with those instruments is kind of how I went in on production, like to the point where it's like I'm falling asleep at this desk, you know, end of the day, every day.
Yeah.
But what that meant was I already had a backlog of songs, luckily, like with my band and my solo stuff, but I didn't write anything new. I haven't written anything new since then, except for like little note, you know, on my phone, like when I'm walking down the street, but which kind of stabs me in the heart a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think it was a necessary season to just like, okay, I'm going to let go of that creation piece so I can get these technical skills. And then it's like, now I'm like so excited to just start firing new shit out, you know?
Yeah.
So you did the 2 years. I love that story. That's amazing that you dove into that. What did it look like when you got finally, you know, took all this proficiency at these instruments and then started creating with
them? So that
again?
was right around the time that I started like kind of like getting into sync as well. So it was like, I knew for sync, I had to build a catalog, and I essentially was like, in my mind, I was starting fresh. I'm like, I'm not using any of the music that I made years ago, you know, like from the type beats era, like any of that stuff. I'm like, I'm starting fresh. So I used that as like motivation to finally start trying to apply these skills that I've learned. And yeah, the funny thing is this song that I'm releasing on Friday with featuring Francisco Camofingo.
Nice. I didn't realize you had one coming out. I should have done better homework.
Yeah. No,
I'm slacking on you.
We'll just pretend that you knew. But anyways,
we'll edit this out.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Miguel's not an idiot. That's exciting though. You did it with Francisco then.
Yeah. So the first song that the first time I made a beat that I was like, wow, this is me on the guitar, me on the drums and the bass. And it sounds like something that I wanted to make when I started learning instruments. Like sounds like the type of stuff that like I was like, I need to learn how to make this, but I need to learn how to play instruments to make this. That was the first instrumental or track that I made that felt like that, where I was like, oh shit, I did it. Right. So then, you know, I made that instrumental, and then it was just like during one of the feedback sessions during Sync Alliance that I submitted it, played it, and then, you know, Francisco heard it and he was like, oh shit, like this sounds like some like monophonic stuff. Like I'm real into that too. I would love to like, you know, take a stab at it if you're cool with it. I'm like,
That's
and like
awesome.
I'd never heard him like do like vocalist stuff like that before.
Yeah, I feel like I've only known him as a producer
and engineer,
fantastic at it.
Which he's amazing at.
Like,
but I was like, okay,
I'm constantly
cool.
listening to his mixes. I'm like,
I'm
like, damn, how does he get so much space in there?
Yeah, no, it's unfair. His mixes
it's
unfair. It's like goals, you know, as far as
so
like
he's singing on this though.
He's singing. He wrote the lyrics, like he's singing the vocals. Like it sounds like that style, like that Curtis Mayfield soul, like monophonics, like soul revival stuff, that like the exact sound I was going for. He was on the same wavelength. It just so happens that me and him are into the same style of he was able to deliver on that end, and it was really cool that we collaborated in that capacity, because I always pictured me collaborating with him like he was gonna like, you know, mix some stuff, which he did. Actually, he mixed this one as well, so it's got the Francisco touch on the mixing side. But yeah, so that track we actually had that one done even before Butterfly and like me and Chakra's collaborations. That one's been done. I was just waiting for the right time to release it, and
now's the time.
I feel like now's the time, and like really like I'm starting to like trying to put more music out under my artist profile of Paimon Alipour, which is like, you know, the new rebrand, because I was the older music I was making was under my DJ moniker of DJ Paimon, and like I said, that was more like the club mainstream, you know, commercial sounding stuff, which I will still be putting music out in that brand of that name. Like when I do like electronic music, house stuff, and like stuff like that is more club music, I'll put it out under DJ Paimon, which I do have a song that I plan on releasing soon through that too. But but the stuff that I'm doing that's more like R&B soul, the stuff that I want to make, that I feel is more of a representation of what I listen to on my own time. That's the stuff that will be released through Paimon Alipour, which I only currently have one song right now on those pages, which on Apple Music and Spotify, which is Butterfly. Yeah. So it's like
great song though. That's a great song to start with.
It's a great first song to have, but like it's one of those things where it's like my pages are kind of bare and like the traffic is limited. So I feel like I maybe need to start putting more music out just to bring more people to those pages. And maybe they'll be like, oh, I haven't heard this one. Oh, I haven't heard this one. You know, like,
well, there's something about consistency. And I say it's also a stab in my heart. Like I was discussing earlier, when I say that, I know that, but like we've just kind of as a band had to take a step back because we're building all these new skills. And so it's like killing me that we haven't had music out like ourselves, or me releasing. But now it's like for us, we listen to that, you know, the Russ podcast. Did you hear the one on And the Writer Is? Are you familiar? You're familiar with Russ?
I know. Yeah, no. Right? I know
okay,
Russ.
So And the Writer Is an amazing podcast where Ross Goling is a like premier, like multiple #1 hit songwriter guy. He brings in all the biggest songwriters in the world and sits down and talks to them for about an hour and a half, and just about their process and their life. He brought Russ in, and they just got down to business, and it's amazing. I'll text you it after we're done. Amazing episode. And he talked about his process where he was doing 1 week, you know, one song a week for like 3.5 years, like nonstop. And I remember kind of finding him halfway in that process and getting into what he was doing, inspired by what he was doing.
Yeah.
But then it was so cool to see, there's a picture of him standing in the middle of a stadium and he's staring up at all these people. And it's like, he started that process in his bedroom, one song a week for 3 years. And found himself, you know, touring and opening for Ed Sheeran in stadiums for 60, 70,000 people. Yeah, and I'm like, bro, that's amazing. Yeah. And he shares a lot about learning production and sucking really bad at first, you know, all that kind of stuff. But one thing he said was, they asked if you could do it differently, how would you do it? And he said, I would release one song a month and do 200 pieces of content based around that song. in 1 month and just do that like out the gate. Boom, boom. He said, basically he was saying the way the environment is, he would change it up a little bit. But man, it just reiterated, and we were already discussing possibly doing one a month. It reiterated this concept of like, hey, let's get that consistent flow. And then people start connecting and believing in what you're doing, believing in you.
Yeah.
So that's cool. You're starting that path, man.
It is, but also at the same time, like, I hate that we have to like have content and like all this stuff, because it's like, gone are the days where we can let things simmer and like,
right,
you know, like really put time and effort into something and then release it when we feel ready and then go into hibernation and then, you know, back into the lab. But yeah, I think it's more beneficial to be consistently releasing and putting out music. And, you know,
it is tough. I think, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't really have ambitions to be this big name, household name of like, you know, as an artist, but I do understand the importance of people knowing me as the artist to build that connection with me. But if I had it my way, I would rather just be behind the scenes and producing a lot of music and
in the back.
Yeah, just being that like guy in the credits that's attached to all the songs, you know, but you don't know who that guy is.
You start looking up, you're like, wait, it's Paimon.
Yeah.
He's everywhere. Who's this guy?
Oh, he produced that too? Like, I'd rather be that, like, and just have the plaques on the wall and like all the, you know, the checks that come from that.
Well, and it makes me think of someone like John Bellion, who was like massive before he was ever like famous. You know, like he was on everything.
Yeah.
Bruno Mars, same way, where it's like they were cooking for everybody else, making hits.
Yep. I'd rather be that
the
guy.
Neptunes was, they
Chad
were like
Hugo
behind.
Pharrell,
Yeah, like I think I read something where it was like I forget what year it was, but like all 30 number one hits that were on the radio were made by them.
Yeah, they ran.
And no one knew who the fuck they were at the time.
There's just like so many names. Oh, I mean, Pharrell was a pretty big deal at the time when they were like in their peak. But
yeah.
Chad Hugo was behind the scenes. Like he wasn't.
I gotcha. For some reason, I thought Pharrell didn't really get out there until after that season, but yeah.
No. He was the face, and then Chad Hugo, the other side of the duo, was more in the background, the more of the introverted side. But yeah, like the behind the scenes thing is more appealing to me because I'm just like this big like music nerd where I'm just constantly trying to like learn, go through this like musical journey of like experimenting, learning, practicing, and expanding my sound and getting better at like just like going down these rabbit holes of like, oh, this influential and inspiring to me. Let me do this. Or like what I love doing, for example, is like tracing my roots. Like if I really like a sound or a song, I'll figure out who influenced that sound. Where does that sound come from? And like really go down to the roots. And then I catch myself like all of a sudden now like listening to everything that is in that family tree
along the whole process
and pulling influences from all of it. And then I'm like, you know, it's like, I think, and I have a take that I've been waiting actually for this podcast to introduce. I have a take because we often hear people, at least on like social media or on the internet, we often hear people say R&B is dead, or like hip hop is dead, or like whatever style of music that like, you know, was for a long time reigning as like the big cultural phenomenon is no longer, right? And I think I don't like hearing it phrased that way, that like this style of music is dead, because that implies that there's no longer any music coming out that
like there's no Marcus. I heard that about rock. Like rock is dead, but it's like you still got rock bands selling out stadiums.
Yeah, but so not only that, it's just maybe the R&B that you're being exposed to, or the hip hop that you're being exposed to, is no longer what resonated with you, because what is being pushed commercially has been kind of turned, because of capitalism and commercialization, has been turned into this cookie cutter microwave version that lost all its soul version of whatever it was when it was actually organic, right? But there's still people doing it that way, in the way that you would love. They're just not getting the platform, or you're not being introduced to them, you know? So my take is that we lost recipes for a specific reason. We lost recipes because people stopped caring about certain aspects of music in the creation side and the artistry side, and also on the consumer side too. Like, for example, I remember there was like 2 aspects of music that have changed dramatically. I don't know why balloons just came up on
Balloons just went.
Yeah. But
I've never seen that before.
yeah. I don't know why two aspects. Yeah, that's kind of fun. 2 aspects of music that noticeably have changed just from like analysis standpoint. One, the length of songs, right? They used to be much longer. 3 to 4 minutes was standard, if not 5 to 6 minutes sometimes. Now it's like 2 minutes to 2 minutes and 30 seconds is like the average.
Right.
Verse length, the structure's changed a little bit. It's more hook focused. No bridge. People aren't doing bridges or key changes or
Could you say that the bridges are dead?
Bridges commercially, bridges aren't being done anymore. Albums aren't being incentivized to be made. It's more of a single driven thing. So we've seen various changes or evolutions of the way music is marketed and the industry side that changes the incentive for the artist and for the consumer. The way consumers consume their music has changed, and the way artists are being forced to create has changed if they want to be involved in the industry and making money from it.
Right.
But
if you're a weekend warrior, you can do whatever the fuck you want. But if you want it on the radio or you want Netflix to pick it up,
you kind of got to play by these rules, right?
Yeah.
But the reason, to me, my opinion, is that the recipes have been lost over time because people have stopped caring about what it was that made those things appreciated. And it was because the musicality of it, people really cared. People really studied music. People really practiced. People really put time into their craft. People really put thought into it. People really, like, at the end of the day, R&B, hip hop, even rock, country, they all stem from Black American music, right? Black music. So soul, jazz, funk, all like
trace it back to Robert Johnson.
It traces back to those things, right? Yeah. So blues, all those things, they're like the roots of all these music. Well, and gospel, blues, jazz, all these things have roots in these music forms. Those things, the things they had in common was the musicality of it. So you're playing these advanced chords, these extended chords, these 7 chords, and this is the music
different layers.
That you're playing these rich, robust progressions and melodies. It's not just the standard 1/4, 1/6/4/5, pop progression that is every song, the chord progression they call it. You're doing these like different things musically that create tension and resolution. You're taking people outside of their comfort zone, removing familiarity, and really pushing people to feel something, right? Like that slight discomfort or unfamiliarity when you play this dissonant chord and then resolve it afterwards, or like it's all like these things that were done musically. These were things that people that had actual musical genius, like Stevie Wonder, Prince, and people like that, they understood this. They might not have gone to school for it or studied it formally, but they had an understanding of it, right?
Right.
So their innate understanding of it allowed them to care about those, Stevie Wonder playing those sus4 chords that, like, when's the last time you heard a sus4 chord and, a commercial radio hit, right? But he was doing that on radio hits, right?
Right.
We were hearing Stevie Wonder songs on the, like for years, right? Timeless classics, My Cherie Amour, and like all these songs that like Stevie Wonder did, or like Michael Jackson, like Quincy Jones, like all these songs by these artists, Prince, that are considered musical geniuses, but were mega stars that had these mega hits that lasted through time. They were doing things that were not pop at all in their music. Like not.
Well, yeah, when you hear Nile Rodgers talk about his like chord progressions that he
Yeah.
did. He's like, they all sound like accessible radio hits, but
Yeah.
he's really got like,
He's got
there
jazz
was some
in there.
video where he's like, yeah, I'm doing this 9 over blah,
Yeah.
blah. And like, I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, this dude
Yeah.
he was cooking.
But like, so that's to me, in my opinion, that's what makes those things genius, because it's very easy to do the thing that everybody wants and expects,
Right.
and then get the attention for it, right? And then people be like, you know, yeah, this hit is so good, and it's like, yeah, it sounds like just like every other hit that sounded so good to you, and you're just like victim, people love that familiarity, so it's easy to do the easy thing. It's very hard to do the hard thing, but make it sound easy. Like,
yeah,
make it palatable.
That's the trick right there. How do you make it? Because I've seen some where it's like it gets so heady, it's not accessible. To, like if you go like, and it's its own market, because it's like if you love jazz, like you don't want it accessible. You want to be sitting there in like a little smoky club and being like, like in there, exactly. But yeah, I think there is this beauty when the Beatles actually are a great example.
Yeah,
their songs sometimes sound like bubblegum pop type songs, but then when you go to learn them, you're like, oh wait, what the what were they
you're like,
doing?
what key is the song in? And you're like,
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like,
so that's what I'm saying. Like,
it is impressive.
Yeah, the real musical genius comes from people that were like trying to challenge the listener. They were trying to do things that like you wouldn't easily just be like, oh yeah, that's just another 1-4-6-5 song. Cool, yeah, like like it's just another song I could play on the guitar because I know those are the only 4 chords I know, and I can play every song that has those 4 chords. It's another one of those. But no, like Stevie Wonder was doing these things that like you couldn't do that if you didn't really play the piano or really understand music, or Michael Jackson.
There's like someone asked me to cover like Metallica or something one day. I was like, no, like.
Yeah, like,
you know how long
you cover Metallica?
It's like, and if you fuck it up, people are gonna be so mad at you.
Yeah,
it's like, no, man, I'm sorry. I actually love Metallica, but I was like, this is just that's a different animal. That,
and I think that's what it boils down to. Is like, there's the people that care and like really put that effort and that thought and that, and like also like they study it. Like to me, if you're not like studying what you're doing, if you're not like going back, if you're not going into like these rabbit holes of like learning everything about what you're doing, or like I'm making this song in this genre and you don't know anything about that genre, like you don't know anything about the lineage of it, the influences, like where those sounds come from, why they're significant culturally. Like if you're not doing any of that, you don't love it enough. Like that's
I think it makes you a better artist. Like when I go and dive in, like I most recently I was reading a book about Nipsey Hussle and then about Linkin Park, and just obviously very different.
Yeah, diametrically opposed.
Yeah, but like by going through that process, I feel like it made me a better artist, a better producer. Maybe oddly enough, even though it was words, it made me a better mixing engineer, especially the book on Linkin Park, because of the discussions around like their interplay of instruments and how they chose certain things to come in and out. Yeah, I think the deeper you go, the wider, it's like it expands your mind.
For sure. Your palate, so your mind.
Like, I'm better for it when I sit down to mix. I'm better for it when I sit down at the piano to write the next song, because it's almost like you got like Kendrick talks about like his ancestors speaking, like betting on him. And it's like you almost have like the ancestors of music like in your brain rattling around and being like, hey, try that sus chord, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I hate to even approach music as if it's like this, like, because music is like a spiritual thing, but then it's also like it does have theory behind it. It does have like, the science and the math, and you can learn that science and the math and the rules and everything, but you learn those to be able to learn how to break them as well. So like, like I think of like Jacob Collier, and then there's another one, a bassist that they talk about, that emphasize on the fact that there's no such thing as the wrong note. There's no wrong notes. What's that?
Was talking about Victor Wooten was talking about that. I saw him. I think it was at like NAMM or something.
Yep. He was playing the bass, and he's like, "Watch this. I'll play this bass line. It's not in key." He's like, "I'm playing. These are all wrong notes. Sounds good though, because the way I'm playing it, right?"
He's like, "Cause I'm fucking awesome."
Yeah, exactly. So like, there is no such thing as a wrong note. But like music theory, you learn all This is what's supposed to be. This is how this works. This is how this works. You learn that so you could be like, if I'm playing all these wrong notes, this is how I make it sound cool. This is how I make it sound right, right? Like you learn how to break the rules. So that aspect of knowing how to break the rules and make things sound cool, some people have to learn it. Some people have it innate, like naturally. You know, those people that are gifted that never took a class and they just sat down and figured it out, right? Those geniuses, those like prodigies.
Yeah.
Either way, they care about that aspect. Long story short, like to some my hypothesis, it's like you remove the soul of that very thing when you remove what it was about that thing that made it that thing. So like to me, when it came to R&B, when it came to soul music, it was the rich musicality of it. It was the musical genius behind the ones that we look to as the pioneers or the ones that made it what it is. And they were introducing jazz music to us through it. They were introducing gospel music to us through it.
True.
Their influences, you know, like, because at the end of the day, that's where it came from, right? So they grew up in the church. They grew up playing these styles, and they were like, what if I did it this way? They grew up listening to jazz records and listening to this, and they were like, what if I did it this way? But they were still implementing all those influences, and
they're like evolving the conversations, like having a conversation with the past and moving it into the future.
Yeah,
you know,
and like
where
you said,
someone else now can come pick that up.
Exactly.
You know,
and like you said, like you might not be into jazz, but you might like the jazz chords that this non-jazz artist implemented into their song. You just don't know it. You just don't know you like jazz. You know, like you just don't like it in that form. You might like it in a different form. But if you just remove that completely, what are you left with? Right. So like,
well, and I smile because it makes me think of like pop country now.
Yeah.
Because like I know a lot where I grew up, originally a small town, a lot of country people, and they're like, I don't like that hip hop, you know, stuff. But now when you listen to pop country, it's basically hip hop with like a twang at this point, like really slow hip hop.
Yeah. You're like, you like hip hop, you just don't like rappers. I hate.
And then when you trace that back to where country is so often seen as a white art, quote unquote.
Yeah.
When you really trace back the roots, even then, like we were talking about, like it all goes back to blues, which was slaves,
black
like
music,
freed slaves, like on their porch with banjos, and dobros and guitar, you know, like, or resonators, whatever. But it's like, dude, you say you don't like it, but it was all in that soup that became country music.
And you can't take that out of it. Like if you try, you're removing the soul of it and you're just doing a replica, right? Now it's just
and then you get save a horse, ride a cowboy, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Then you get like the very false, like contrived, you know? So I think that's where when people say R&B is dead and hip hop is dead, it's like, well, we just lost recipes. And the ones that haven't lost the recipes, the ones that still care are doing it, aren't being platformed. The light isn't being shined on them because there's no incentive financially right now for that. So the ones that are making all the money from it, they're like, no, we want the cookie cutter stuff because that's how we make the money. This stuff, you guys don't have the attention span to even appreciate this stuff, right? So again, it goes back to caring. The more you care about music, the more you dive into it and the more you dig and the more you learn. And then the more appreciation, the more your palate grows, the more you get to appreciate that stuff, right?
Yeah.
The more you get to understand what's going on behind the hood, you know?
That's what is interesting because I feel you on a lot of this stuff. I think when you marry that with like this idea of like the consistent dropping of singles and that kind of thing, this is something I've noticed myself because I will like slave over. Well, to give you an idea, I was a producer made the mistake of giving me the mouse one day in the studio. This is way back before I knew, and I was just the singer, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like midnight. And finally he goes, Miguel, you need to go home. And I'm like, what's wrong? And he goes, everything you're tweaking now is scientifically like not able to be heard. Like the differences that you're changing that you think sound better, you literally scientifically cannot tell the difference. The ear cannot pick that up, go home.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm so passionate about it. I will dive into this like obsession. But what I've been noticing about like releasing, I've had to like let go of some of that, or like learn how to become more efficient in it. Where it's like,
I think that's the crux of it.
That's probably the better term, is the efficiency, because it's like running. I'm like, I do a lot of running, and it's not necessarily like you're forcing yourself through. It's actually about technique. So the more efficient you run, the further and faster you'll be able to run. So yeah, I think that's what I've been noticing about myself, where it's like, and that's a good point. Sorry, saying that out loud and you reiterating it just it really hit me that it is about that technique and efficiency.
No,
as opposed to necessarily letting go of like my desire for it to be great.
Yeah, no, because I to piggyback off that, I felt the same way, because I was like, I care about so many aspects of music when it comes to the creation side. Like even Chakra was saying in our last podcast that, like, you know, I'm very intricate when it comes to the writing of the music and like the production. The thing is, I do spend a lot of time on that, but that's only because I'm not as proficient as I want to be yet. I want to get to the level of proficiency to where I could still be that intricate, but it doesn't take me as much time to be able to do it. Right. So like, that's why I'm practicing. I spend so much time practicing my musicianship, because composition will come a lot easier if I can improvise quicker and translate what it is in my mind to that instrument quickly. Then I won't have to sit there and noodle around as much or try to figure out what that progression is, or like how to play that progression the best way, or whatever it might be.
And the tighter the performance, the easier it is in the mixing stage, you know, all those pieces and the editing. It's like, all those things start factor in. But no, I feel you. I love that, the efficiency, because I've almost thought of it as a wrestling, like a between, I think the difference is like, is it great for where you're at versus perfection? I think I'm striving for perfection too often. So I can't tell you how many times I've re-recorded vocals and re-recorded vocals and
we're our worst enemy as well. Yeah, for sure.
Like yesterday I re-recorded vocals, and it was probably maybe 5% better, 10% better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so at some point, I'm like, Miguel, you got to fucking slap Melodyne, tune it up, and let's go, bro.
There's definitely such a thing as analysis paralysis and overdoing it. And realizing that it's never going to be perfect. You're just going to have to like know, hey, this sounds good. And like, even like, you know, if like during a feedback, someone's giving feedback, and if you disagree with it, just trust your gut sometimes. Like,
it's true.
Like, not all feedback is going to be productive, you know, like not everyone's opinion because like they have their vision of what it should sound like, which may differ from yours. So like, if you disagree, just trust your gut and go with it, you know, like, so.
I sent a remix I was doing. Like I've been working on taking some of our older songs and putting the big like damage to make it more cinematic. And I sent it to two producers I know, two badass producers. Like they're fucking killer, right?
Yeah.
Like just they make their living doing that, all that kind of thing, right? And so I trust them so much at this point. Yeah. And this is early on when I was just starting the Alliance. And it was hilarious because they both sent me feedback. And they had no idea that I'm talking to both of them at this point. And they completely, it was like complete contradiction. Don't do that. Why would you do this? Do this. Why would you do that?
Yeah, that's funny.
And I'm like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
And so a lesson I took from that was saying what you're talking about is like on some level, like you want to be open. And that's, I learned so much from the feedback I get from you guys, in, you know, in the community and all that. But then at some level, you have to say, no, I dig that. And I believe in it, and and it can find its place.
Yeah, it is. There is a balance, a fine line, a dance that we do have to do when it comes to the business side, right? Like, we do have to, there is some level of sacrifice. Like, I want to do this, but I know that if I want to get this placement, I can't do this. Right. You know, like
I want to cuss a lot more than I do.
I want to say this, and I don't want to limit myself because I can't say this because then they won't place it.
If I say fuck in the song, it can only get licensed on HBO for certain shows. So like, and that's it. Yeah.
There is balances and sacrifices and compromises. There is that. But like at the same time, if you get to a level to where you are proficient and you are efficient and you are prolific and you are able to create what it is in your mind in a timely manner, then your output will be that of someone that is going to be able to be consistent. At the end of the day, it's just getting to that stage of proficiency and being prolific. That's what I'm still working on currently, because
me
I do
too.
want to be able to increase
my
my
shit's
output.
not efficient.
Yeah,
yet.
no,
I'm like, what are you doing, Miguel? Why did you what? Like,
and just on
the last thing I just mixed, I went back to it. All the shit I've learned since then. I'm like, I opened it back up. I was like, why, Miguel?
Yeah.
Did you do it like?
And time is just also such a limiting factor that, like, you know, like, I wish I had more time to create, but like life be life, and sometimes,
Yep.
like, you know, you got limited time and you got limited resources or limited skills or whatever it might be to do these things that your mind is like, all these different steps that you need to take. And then obviously on top of that, outside of the creative side, you know, there's the administrative side, the marketing side, the business side, the metadata, blah, 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 you know, all the extracurriculars that
which can almost take
fun.
More time.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was Neil Gaiman, and he's an author.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about how he became so good at writing that it basically created a situation where he no longer had time to write. He was like, I feel like I'm a professional at answering emails now because of all the stuff that was coming in. He's like, yeah, poor me. I'm now a world best-selling author or whatever. But he realized real quick, like, oh, the business side just took over all the creative side.
Yeah.
Like he no longer had time to write novels. And so he's like, something's got changed.
No, I can't have that. I can't have the business completely overtake the artistic integrity.
Well,
like,
I think that's the power of, you know, agents, managers, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Too.
Yeah. Like once you start having a team that can handle and will start wearing some of those hats that you don't have to wear.
And that's
anymore.
nice being in a band as well, where we're like, you know, I had a conversation with our members where they're doing one aspect. And I was like, bro, I literally have zero time to even think about it. Like, like I won't even have the time to think to say, hey, did you get that done? Unfortunately, maybe one day I will, but like the other initiatives I'm doing, it was cool. He's like, no, I got that. I'm going to be running that. And, you know, I just asked you some questions from, you know, time to time. It's like, oh, that's awesome when you have a whole team around you. Moving into the sync world a bit. So obviously that's what got you fired up. Like how long have you been in the sync world? And
I think it's been a couple years now. I think it's been, I'm on probably, I would say maybe this is year 2, I think.
Nice.
Or like year 2 or 3. I can't. My concept of time has been completely demolished ever since pandemic. So like things that feel like a week.
And you're a producer as well. I think I find that when I'm in this place, my windows are blacked out. Like it's
same.
I have no idea.
No concept of time. But yeah, I would say probably a couple years I've been pursuing sync, and finally just now starting to see the fruits of my labors, not financially, but like at least opportunity wise. I'm starting to like receive opportunities and get like, you know, like meet people like sync agents and stuff like that, or like get music placed in like libraries and stuff like that. Like, so things are starting to happen that are small wins that are motivating for me.
Hell yeah. To
keep going and to really start pushing harder. And so that's been kind of like, I guess, the snowball I've been trying to ride.
You learned how to be an entire band by yourself since 2020 and record that, because recording that stuff is different than like production in the box as well.
Yeah, you're not moving things around after it's recorded.
It's a whole other animal, you know. And so that's huge though, man. That's so getting into libraries, it sounds like these collaborations, I imagine, is that helping with getting into libraries as well?
Yeah, that's huge. The collaborations that I've been able to start, you know, utilizing has been really beneficial because, again, one less hat you got to wear, right? You don't have to write the lyrics or do the vocals as a producer. I have someone else that can approach that side and tackle that, record the vocals, and now, you know, all I have to worry about is the instrumental and the post-production. So there's one less hat to wear. Also, like, you know, just like the synergy that you get from different collaborations, you know, the different styles or different skill sets they might have, or different walks of life or approaches or backgrounds they have that adds new flavor to that collaboration. You know, like
that's so true.
That's like Chakra being from Texas, or you know, Francisco being from Angola, Africa. You know, like there's like complete.
I forgot that's where he's from.
Yeah, so it's like you're of course going to have a very different sound and different, you know, melting pot created by this new collaboration. And then I'm recently started working with an artist out of Chicago, Isaiah Jones.
Okay,
me and him are starting to collaborate. you know, Rhino Ara, he did the guitar solo on this song that I'm putting out on Friday, In Search Of.
Why am I not placing it? It sounds familiar, but I can't.
He was, you might have joined the Alliance later on. He was in there earlier.
That's why I know, because I went through all the backlog of feedback sessions.
Yeah,
that's why
so
I
he's a
recognize.
guitarist.
But he's not in there anymore.
No,
he's okay.
He's a guitarist out of England, and him and Francisco have collaborated a lot. So when me and Francisco were making this song In Search Of, which is going to be released tomorrow or tonight at midnight, but by the time this podcast is out, it'll be out already.
It'll be out in the world.
Yeah. So In Search Of, which has Francisco on the vocals and the lyrics, but Rhino on the guitar solo at the end. Which how often are you hearing guitar solos on, you know?
Yeah.
You know,
dude, we just our song coming out, our newest one that's gonna be dropping. It's got guitar solo in there too. Yeah. We're like, fuck it, it's got a key solo into a guitar solo. We're like, I know it doesn't make sense in this day and age, but but like, let's go. Let's do it.
Because we care, like the musicality of it, right? Like add that improvisation, add that element of musical expression. So, and Rhino's from England. So we got me, a guy from England and a guy from Angola all on one song. Yeah, it's a melting pot, right? It's like different walks of life, different backgrounds, different influences. Like, you know, they might
you get your toolbox, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, once you start collaborating, it seems like you got to go out and buy a bigger toolbox because you're going to start trading tools to people. And some of them are going to have like some badass tools. Like, hey, you ever use this? Yeah. And
exactly.
That's what it seems like, man. I'm working on one with Daniel Hall right now, and he's got a different approach like to music, which kind of opened up my brain in writing. And then Lorenzo and I are just kind of trading ideas that we can't officially start it just from time perspective till like October, but like it brought back, like I love like Wilco and Goo Goo Dolls, like when they were more like a little more grittier, that kind of stuff. And it just brought that back to me because I haven't been living in that world in quite some time either. It's like, man. And so it's the collaboration was the unexpected thing for me when I got into sync, and actually a very exciting thing for me as I'm stepping into the sync world.
And like maybe you influence them a certain way with your personal preferences and styles, or maybe they influence you, but either way, like you both grow musically from that collaborative process. And so that's been very fulfilling and very a big part of I think the forward motion of my musical journey. But yeah, outside of that, I think sync has given me the freedom to think more about like the music that I want to make, and then having it like knowing that there will be a home for it, knowing that there will be a place or a niche that I could find a place to place it, you know, whatever type of medium that is, there is going to be that. I don't have to constantly chase the
trend of
what's cool or what's trend or whatever. I mean, you can, and like you do want to know what they're looking for, obviously, but you don't necessarily have to be constantly doing whatever is trending. Like you can do what you like, it'll find a home. So I do like that aspect.
That was another surprising part. I thought I was going to be stuck in that, like what you said, the type beat world where I was teaching myself production with that mindset before I really learned, because I knew I was like, I want to go into sync. So I was just kind of like, okay, I got to learn how to do this. Like you said, like cookie cutter type stuff.
I got to learn how to make Apple commercial type, you know, like, or pharmaceutical commercial type beats.
Exactly. That's so rock star. I make pharmaceutical commercial type beats. But yeah, that was what blew me away, is that after meeting music supervisor after music supervisor, just talking and hearing their feedback, I'm like, wow, they want real artists. They're looking for something unique. And like you said, like maybe like I think it was yesterday, there was an NFL guy who was there. They're actively looking for music to place this season, right? And we're pitching our stuff, you know how it goes. And but it's like, like Nikolai probably wouldn't, like for the listener, he's like incredible, like acoustic.
Yeah, his guitar
like
is just so
instrumental acoustic stuff. Yeah. Beautiful. I don't even understand. Like I listen to it in awe. I'm like, I don't understand how it's this clean.
Yeah.
But they're probably not going to pick his stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But there's a home.
There's definitely a home.
There's a whole other place for where he is. They wouldn't want the cinematic hip hop, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
At that point. Yeah. And so that was so exciting too, because I'm like, oh, they want real artists. And like my weird Americana shit that I do and the band stuff that we do, like there's places for
Yeah.
you if you just look and you're willing to do the work, you know?
No, they definitely want what you're good at. I think that's what I've learned is like that from everyone I've heard, they want whatever it is that you're best at. That's what they want.
Yeah. And they can
Because
tell.
then it sounds authentic.
They listen to a lot of fucking music.
Yeah. They don't want jack of all trades. They don't want you to try this. They want you to just do what you do, and they'll figure it out. Like they'll figure out where.
Absolutely, man. What's another thing for you that's been inspiring or surprising as you have taken this sync journey, for lack of a better word?
Surprising. I guess just surprised at, I don't know if so much how much is related to sync, but I do know that sync was a motivating factor, but just surprised at like the progress that I've made looking back. Cause I'm always so focused on forward and like what I'm doing now and like what I need to be doing that I don't take a step back and look at how far I've come. And when I listen to the music that I am making now, and then I think about a few years ago what my goals were and like where I was musically back then and like skill wise and everything, I look back and I'm like, damn, I'm really doing this. Like I'm really doing what I set out to do. So that's
an amazing feeling.
Yeah, that can be surprising.
Hey,
yeah. Because we don't tend to think from that perspective. We tend to think of like always this like, I'm not there yet. I want to get here. I'm still here. We don't look back and see that, well, we started back here, you know, like.
Yep. I feel like, because I'm often just not happy with the progress that's being made.
It's
I'm
never
just
enough, right? Yeah.
You know, it's like I had some financial goals that like, you know, milestone stuff, and didn't even recognize. I was like, oh shit, I just hit it for the first time in July.
Yeah.
You know, but like for me, I was already deep into August thinking about all the way through December. And and so that was kind of fun, you know, I often need people around me to help me look, like grab
to
my
remind
face.
you.
It's like turn, look, see, chill the fuck out. You're okay. We're moving forward. That's awesome, man. Well, last two questions. I'll let you get them in there.
Come on up.
Get some dogs.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. We've had a few dogs in the podcast, and I think a cat at one point. And then someone's kid popped up one day, and then he sang "Happy Birthday" on the podcast. It was
that's funny.
I was like, "What's your favorite song?" And he sang "Happy Birthday." I was like,
hey.
Man, it's like cute dogs, cute kids. It's always a win. What type of dog is that?
They're both Shorkies, so half Shih Tzu, half Yorkie.
That's awesome.
This one is the puppy. He's and this is Bingo. So the puppy is Bingo, and then this is Bongo. Bongo's 3. Bingo's like 7 months.
I love it.
It's 7 or 8 months, something like that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, last two questions of the podcast. Right now, how would you define living a great life?
I would say living a great life is, so everyone defines happiness differently, obviously, and success differently. To me, I think it's being able to appreciate all the things in your life, like the little things, having the ability to do that. So creating the lifestyle that allows you to be able to do that is a win, and that's happiness. And if you can do it, doing something you love, even better. So to me, the fact that, you know, I'm not making money from my music yet, but I see the silver lining, you know, like I see the light, the glimmer of light, like that hope of like, I'm making progress. If I can make this music thing into a means of providing and living my life to where that's what I do, you know, to pay bills and to, you know, whatever, invest in myself or just enjoy life, be able to go on vacation or go on trips or whatever it might be. Right. Whatever it is that's fun for me, if I could do that paid for by something I'm very passionate about and I love, that's living a great life to me. That's happiness and that's success. It doesn't have to be millions. It doesn't have to be crazy money. Like it's just whatever, you know, whatever that cost is, that is something I want to do. If it could be paid for by something I love doing,
right?
That's great life.
That's huge, man. Well, and it's cool to see too, because like you said, seeing the silver lining. Sometimes I think about it as like, you ever seen like painted over windows and then you scratch away where like, like I feel that's how I feel in the sync world, where it's like I've got a few scratches to where I can see through the window now, and I'm like,
that like little light ray is coming through.
Yeah, and it sounds like you hit some of those same ones like like we finally got our first sync library.
Yeah.
You know, I started working with the first sync agent, and it's like, okay. And I think every time I think the people you're running with, you know, that I feel like I'm running with at this point, it's like, I see them winning, and I see how long it took them to get there too, where it's like each time I see their win, it's like another scratch on that window, where it's like,
super
okay,
motivational.
we start seeing it's like, I know you did that thing. You're in the Netflix thing. This is fucking, it's real. This is real.
And you know, you hear people say like, trust the process, you know, like they're not doing anything differently than what you're doing. They've just been doing it longer.
They're just 12 years in. You know?
Exactly. So that's motivating too, seeing the wins and being able to network with all the other people within the same community and seeing them and their progress and their wins, and knowing that we've learned the methods that they're doing and we're implementing them, and all it takes is patience and persistence and, you know, that will to be like, you gotta get past the sucky part, you know. The same thing with like learning instruments. You got to get past sucking. Like you gotta.
That's what I would say. I taught for 6 years, and I would always say, I'd start out, it's like, everybody sucks when they start. Everybody does. I did. I was terrible.
And you got to be okay with it. The people that don't get to that next level are the ones that are discouraged by sucking. They don't like hearing themselves suck. So then they just give up. But if you are like, suck, but I suck less today than I did yesterday. And to me, that's progress. And to me, that's a small win that shows that tomorrow I will suck even less.
Yes.
I know that I'm going to not suck eventually.
Right. Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, last question. Right now, how would you define creating great things?
Creative. So that's actually a funny question, because I think for the longest time, I thought about it in terms of, again, external validation. And what happens is when you focus too much on the external validation, when that validation no longer comes, you lose all sight of any sort of happiness, because you're dependent on that external validation. You don't validate it yourself no more. You're constantly thinking of. So I used to be like, oh, I want the respect of all my peers, or I want hit records, or I want plaques, or I want Grammys, or whatever it might be, right? All things that come from others determining, hey, your music is great. Hey, this song you made is amazing. Hey, this song is great. But it took for me to reframe my mindset and think about it differently, because I didn't want to depend on that dopamine, or that, you know, I would rather it be based off of how I feel about it. So if I create a song, even if I never release it, even if it never gets a single stream, even if no one hears it outside of myself, as long as I enjoyed the process of creating it, and I was able to express myself or get whatever it was in my head out, and the journey of the creative process of hearing myself do something that I set out to do, creating something out of nothing, and utilizing skills that I've worked so hard to improve on, and seeing that be applied, and like seeing the application of it be like, oh wow, you've come a long way. That entire journey or process, as long as that it was fulfilling to me, and the end product is something that it resonates with me and I appreciate it, that's greatness in my mind. I strive for greatness in the sense of like just constant improvement and constant fulfilling journey, right? And Kobe Bryant said it best in his retirement piece, may he rest in peace. He said, it's not the goal, it's not like the end, you know, I might be butchering the quote, but like, it's not the goal, it's the journey, right? The journey is the goal.
It's the process that builds you, it shapes you.
Like once you get there, you're like, that was it, you know?
Well, it is interesting when you do hit milestones too, where it's like, it's cool, celebrate it, but then it's like you said, that was it. That's the thing I've been busting my ass. Okay, so what's the next?
Yeah,
it's like, oh, okay, so it is that process that shapes.
So if you lose sight of that journey and you're only thinking about the end point, that end point is finite, right? That end point is finished as soon as you're done with that end point.
And often that end point we set is something that's completely out of our control. Like Kobe is the great example. Like he lost games. Yeah, there's times he wanted to win every fucking time. Yeah, but he lost some. You know, but it was that process of getting there. You know,
but that process is with you forever. You know.
Mhm.
And like, it's like, you could take everything away from me out of my life, everything, but you can't take the music that's out of my head. You know, like
Yeah.
you can't
And all
take
the
that away from
skills
me.
you've acquired
Yeah.
along the way. It's like they could take everything and it's like go snatch up a laptop and start creating from ground zero again because you have all the skills, you know.
Yep.
I think there's something powerful about the idea of being proud of yourself. And I think that's something I've noticed in my own like current journey is that need for external validation that you talked about a lot, where then realizing there's times, especially I would say last year or two, where I realized, I'll give one example. We got off stage, we played this big stage, and it was a really cool show. A lot of people. It went really well. People into it and everything. But I had this distinct like feeling that I almost never felt, and maybe in my life.
Okay.
When I walked off stage and I was like, if no one liked what we did tonight, I wouldn't have gave a fuck. Because they would be wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I was so proud of like my band, the work that like, I mean, we put so much work in building it and that whole process. And I literally was like, if they all booed us, I would have been like, you're fucking wrong.
Yeah. No,
luckily that didn't happen, but it was like, it was so freeing because I have strove for that same thing you've talked about, the external validation for so much of my life. But yeah, I think, and it was interesting. It was mainly because of the process. It was mainly looking back on what it took to get there. And it was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that again.
Yeah. Like I'm a nerd, bro. I love practicing guitar and instruments and piano. Like I love the process of learning and improving. Like to me, it's like jump shots, that dopamine when that it goes through the net and it feels good. It's like that repetition of like doing something until you get better at it. I love that. That feeling is my dopamine, you know, like, so
you know, Tim Grover.
Greatness. What's that?
Are you familiar with Tim Grover?
No.
He's the trainer for Dwayne Wade, Kobe, Michael Jordan. He's their personal trainer. And he would talk about working, I think it was with Jordan, when he worked with Jordan, like one-on-one all the time. He'd go to all the games and he said at the end of every single game, I'd walk up to him and say 4, 5, or 6. And he's like, Jordan would say 4, you know, and I knew the next day we were in the gym at 4 a.m. He's like, that was their conversation at the end of like every game, 4, 5, or 6. Or maybe that was Kobe, because Kobe was notorious for just being
Kobe was like,
it was
the trainer.
Yeah, it was one of the greats. But yeah, he said that's all. Like, but we get done 4, 5, or 6.
That's the common thread. Yeah, that's the common thread between all of like the greatest, the people that were like the greatest at what they do. They were obsessed with it, like to the point of like unhealthy, right?
Yeah,
like, which is why a lot of them are just like kind of deranged, like kind of like not okay. Like maybe they weren't the best like husband, or maybe they weren't the best like person, because they were just so like, I don't care about social skills, or I don't care about being a good person. I need to be good at this thing. I need to neglect all aspects of my life that make me a nice or good human. But I'm really great at this thing though, and I'm going to be known as that, right? So like all the people that were the best, they were just that obsessed. And it's like, I find myself with that like unnatural obsession with music, to where that is my goal. My end goal is to achieve that level of greatness to myself, of like, hey, these are the things that really resonated with you. These are the things that you, in your opinion, feel are genius or are great. You set out to achieve that. You set out to get that, and then you did. That's greatness to me. It's like that journey is fun.
I love it, man. Well, let folks know how they can check out your music and connect with you and reach out, you know, collaborate, whatever it is.
So my name, Paimon Alipour, which is spelled Paimon, and then last name Alipour. So that's Paimon Alipour is my like handle on all social media. It's also my website, PaimonAlipour.com, which you can find all my music and things like that. So yeah,
it's awesome.
My socials and my website.
Thanks for I'll link it in the notes as well.
Yep,
dude.
And
thanks for making the time.
This Friday tonight at midnight. So by the time you guys see this,
this comes out in 2 weeks. So it's out there, guys. Go listen.
Yeah, go listen to In Search Of by myself, Paimon Alipour, featuring Camofingo from Angola, Africa, and Rhino Ara from England on the guitar solo.
That's awesome. Well, dude, thank you. I'm glad we got the tech to work out.
Thank you for listening to the Live and Create podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment or a review.
The Live and Create podcast.